a little bit. What else? I want to explain people about the main messages that are in the that are pinned to the top for doing the signature and to do other things, just to remind people of the terms of service in the forum. It's grown to a pretty good size. And I think we're getting over 50% of our customers are joining the forum, what I'm thinking. Probably more than 50%. I'm not sure what our sales total is over the last 5 years, but I think it's close to 2,000 by now, I imagine.
So happy Tuesday to everybody. Thanks for bringing up about the moon impact event. You know, something that small, would be very surprised if we get to see it, you know, unless there's some sort of impact explosion or something, but it'll probably just it'd probably be like a giant piece of metal going on, hitting the moon, and that's about it. Well, hello, everybody. This is Scott Roberts, and Jerry Hubbell's there behind the the dark curtain.
I was playing around bringing up the YouTube channel. You suggested last time that I go and maybe look at the chat a little bit. So
Oh, sure.
I was going to get on the face. So I'm going to show you how to get to these places too on when I talk about our topic today.
Right. Yeah, but let's talk a little bit about, we were talking earlier about the OpenGOTO community and its growth. And so where is it now? And, how old is OpenGOTO community at this time?
So
on groups.io.
It's not quite 80. So not quite 80 years old. It's in about 75 years, it'll be 80. So it'll be 5 years old. It'll be 5 years old in May. So
that's
kind of cool. It's a quick,
have to have a birthday
quick 5 years.
Right.
Yeah. So let me bring up the Groups.io forum. That's our topic. That's our topic today for everybody out there that hadn't guessed yet. That's what we're going to be talking about. We've got a lot of new customers over the last few months, and I want to go over some of the details on. I know a lot of people use their email to communicate over the forum, but there is a website that's really useful. It has a lot of extra things in it that you really should take advantage of, not just communicate over email with other members. So I wanted to talk about that and how to get the best use out of the forum. So you can see it here. This is the main page. So the forum is split up into a main group, and then there's subgroups on the forum. But before we talk about the subgroups, I just want to go over some of the features on this main page that are very useful for new members. There's a link to the terms of service, and I talk about, we have a banner for the show on top, live on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Central. And then I've got some other information about it here. It's 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, 2000 hours UTC time. These are the two links I was talking about. If you want to know where to see the broadcast, you can go to the forum, and right here, there's the Facebook page and then the YouTube page that brings up the forum. Of course, if you're listening to this, we have a YouTube or a Facebook page already. So, but this is how you can get to it also. There's specific topics that we have subgroups for, like I mentioned. The mounts, topic, dev, feature requests. So to find out more about those subgroups, you can go over to the menu on the left. And I'm going to be going over a few of these other menu items. But if you look at subgroup, this is a nice page because it gives you an overview of what each of the subgroups are. And once you join them, you can go there and contribute to that subgroup. Some of the main ones that are really active are the mounts subgroup, and we have a beta test going on right now, so that's active right now. The beginner subgroup for IXS 100 customers is a great group to get started with learning how to do things. But most people, they start out just joining the main, and they ask their initial questions on the main group, which is fine. Part of the reason we have subgroups is to help people that aren't interested in certain areas to not have to subscribe or to listen to conversations in those areas. It depends on the person. A lot of people like to hear about everything, so they subscribe to all of them. Some people might just want to listen to the main group conversations, and they only subscribe to that. But there is a little bit of bleed over between different groups, like I said. So something else you can see on this page near the bottom, there's some good things that talk to you about how many members. Now, this member number here, this is just a little tedious detail that I always like to tell people, which is some of them, most people don't probably care, is that it shows
I care.
732 members. It shows 732 members here, right? But that's not really correct. This number doesn't include other members. I'm not sure exactly what the criteria is, but if you go to our member listing, you see up here, there's actually 767 members that are subscribed. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
So that's what I would consider the true member number, is that, and you can see,
767.
yeah, right. And you
We've
can
had
see,
a lot of people kind of cycle in and out of.
yeah,
of
that's
the
right.
group as
So
well.
I can, right. So there's activity, of course, and I can show you how many people have left over the last 5 years. I go into this query. And it counts 298 people have actually left the forum.
Okay.
So if you add those two numbers, it's close to 1,100 people total have joined at one time or another.
Right.
And so there's that. There's email addresses to use if you just want to talk over email. There's a group settings section here that tells you what you're allowed to do and what features you have. Now mine's going to be slightly different than yours because I'm the moderator or the owner of the group, so I'm going to have access to everything. And then there's another thing which is kind of cool, top hashtags. So we have hashtags. When you create a message, you can attach a hashtag to it, and then you can see all. And then if you're a user that you're trying to look for something, if you want to see all the posts related to the iAccess 100, let's say, and there's 197 of them, you can click on this tag. Or if you want to, anything that I have posted as an official notice about something is this Explore Scientific Instruments tag right here. If you have an ASCOM question, you can do that. You can Explore Stars application, anything that's dealing with that, you can click on that one. Let's go ahead and click on that. And it'll bring up all the different messages that have the Explore Stars tag. So if you're searching for something, you can start there, and then you can refine it in the search tool also, which I'll get into in a little bit. So that's nice to have those tags available. And then if this only shows the top 8 or 10 of them, I guess, and then you can see all of them. So this will show you all the tags and then also how many topics. If you look here, I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing at. This one says 57 topics related to astrophotography that have been tagged. Okay. 16 topics with Android in the that has been tagged as Android topics. So that's kind of neat. And you can also, you see where I got that, there's a hashtag item on the left and a menu item too. One of the first things that I want to point out is in the terms of service. Actually, let me back up from that. I'm not going to go into that first. I'm going to go at the top of the main group when you go to topics or messages. And select topics. At the top of the topics list, there's some pinned topics which everybody should read. Okay, that now the assumption is that you're going to use this interface, and a lot of people don't. When they subscribe, they just join the forum, and they just go to this, or they don't. They just go to the email. They don't use this. So, Scott, do you have any comments about it? I know I'm trying to work in getting you more time on the without me droning on. Uh,
Well, there's a question here, right?
I'm sorry.
And so the question and it's a PMCA question, okay? The question is, can you align on a bright star like Sirius or, Vega, for example, as part of the alignment?
Yeah, you can line on any star that's in the data. There's somebody outside my door. That's why they're working. So yeah, you can align on anything that's in our database on Explore Stars. And then also if you're using the ASCOM driver, the ASCOM driver does not do alignment. So that's something to keep note of. The
You would
alignment routines are in the Explore Star.
So when you're driving with ASCOM, you just do a standard polar alignment. But let's say you're using Explore Stars. What's the method? You pick a star out of just search out of its database.
Well, so what you do is you start an alignment. There's a special routine that it gets into, a mode that it gets into to do the alignment. And then you can either turn it on to go automatically to the first star the system will select for you, or you can turn that feature off and select the star yourself, or it won't slew to the first star. It'll sit there and wait for you to go to any star. But you can also search for alignment star or scroll through the list of alignment stars and select that one. Then pick that as the first alignment star, and do the same with the second and the third alignment star.
Right.
So that's how that works. Any other questions?
It's just some general questions. There was a conversation that was going on about a booster or a rocket stage impacting the moon, and so there was a lot of questions or just comments about that. A lot of people were not aware that that's happening.
Yeah, that's that one. I thought they started to blame it on Elon Musk, but then they decided it was a Russian or Chinese. I think it was a Chinese.
Oh, they decided. Okay, because it's gosh, even it's like all over the news that it's SpaceX. So
no, it's not. It's not.
Uh-huh.
That's funny. That the press do not do their own. They don't do any
They
investigation.
do their homework. Well,
no, they don't. They just fly on whatever fits their narrative. They'll say. If they don't like Elon Musk, they'll blame it on Elon Musk if they don't like him. So that's why it's out there like that. A lot of people don't like him for some odd reason. I don't know why. Maybe because he's rich. Maybe because he's rich.
Successful, or
well, if you're the richest guy in the world, I imagine you take a few arrows and stuff.
I don't know. I give the guy a lot of credit. He comes out of nowhere, all right, and studies books and decides that he's going to get into the rocket business, and everybody's laughing at him. Okay. And then he goes, okay, I'll take my PayPal money and I'll go buy some, Russian rockets, and they won't sell them to him. So he's saying, well, screw that. I'll just go make my own.
I'll just do it myself. Right. And that's what we like about people when they decide to do.
I've been to SpaceX. If you ever go, I mean, you will be utterly blown away. You will. I mean, it's just to see what they're doing there and the mindset that's going on there. It's incredible. So
absolutely. That's a great thing.
Yeah, but they didn't like him because he put a car in space. They didn't,
Well, yeah, he's a showman, and that's how he gets people interested and excited about space. No, he's not NASA. What has NASA done to get you excited other than spending $10 billion on a rocket that hasn't launched yet? Well, that's shameful. Yeah, that was 50 years ago.
Shuttle mission was pretty cool.
What have you done? That's like you get a
space station. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. What have you done lately? You're 80 years old and you haven't done anything. You haven't done anything in the last 50 years.
Oh, NASA's done a lot of really cool stuff.
Well,
it's just that, I think that Elon gets, I mean, okay, he's made a lot of money and people want to criticize it for whatever reason. People criticize success.
Absolutely. Yep. Always. So that is what it is. But that's why I think the media likes to jump on anything that's either controversial or will rise somebody's ire, and it's clickbait. It's basically clickbait.
Right. Yeah, but there's a jealousy thing going on, out there. So
Yep. Absolutely. So let's get back to the forum.
Okay. And by the way, you have a new person watching the program. His name is Joe Schmuckatelli, I think is how you pronounce it. Yeah. So tell me if I got that wrong. So he is watching you on YouTube, and yeah, we always have a nice audience. So Jerry, what are the main things that you want newbies to know about groups.io and our whole ecosystem of the PMC8? And I think you're muted. And I think you're still muted. There we go.
Yeah, for some reason, when I share my screen, I can't access the mute button for some reason when I share my, let me test it here.
Okay.
I'm just being a dummy. All right, so this window comes up. So, I see what it is. My little window, when it's resized, doesn't come up with my mute button. Yeah, okay, I can get to it now. All right, so there's 2 or 3 specific things I want to talk about for new people that comes on the forum, but the purpose of the forum is to help provide a lot better or more, I should say, more customer support. I'm on there pretty regularly, not quite as often as I used to be, but we have 2 or 3 people that jump in all the time to answer questions. Wes McDonald is the primary example of that. Wes is a great friend and a longtime user of the system, and he's actually helping us do development on the system, if you're not already aware of that, as a customer, not as an employee. So he gives us a lot of insight into what customers think about and what their problems are to help us understand better what's going on. So he'll bring some things to my attention on the forum, that any problems that crop up that need to be fixed. And I think, so this is one of our primary ways of getting feedback to correct issues and to make improvements to the system. So that's one of the purposes of the forum. And in fact, there's a subgroup, a feature request subgroup, to submit ideas for improvements into the PMC8 system. So that's how important this forum is for us. It's really a driver for us to make the system better over time, and to understand what customers are thinking about going forward. Is there something else about that, Scott?
No.
So that's one of the things. Specifically, there's a couple of things on the forum, on the main group, that I want to point out to people. If you go to messages, topics on the main forum, there's a thing asking for people to join these subgroups. And then there's the terms of service. That's very important to watch or to look at and to understand. And then one of the things that people, half the time, I would say, do not do, these 2 items right here: provide a display name on your account. Now, recently, if new users are watching this, I've been adding that into the account. When I approve the account, I'll go ahead and type their name in based on what their email address is. If it makes sense, if it looks like a real name, I'll go ahead and use that. Sometimes I'll use their alias that they provide with their email, but sometimes I can't even It's just a random smear of numbers and letters, and I don't think it's a valid name, so I won't do that. I won't make
Right.
a name up for them. So, but it's important to provide a name because we like to know who we're talking to, and I don't think there's anything to hide on the forum in that way. It's up to you, of course, as a forum member, what you want to tell us. That's always the case. But that goes in line with setting your signature line, equipment info. It's very important for us when you ask about it, if you're having a question, to understand what you have. And the easiest way to do that is on your messages, setting the signature line. So let me go up here and I'll show you how to set those things. You'll go to the subscription, and this will be my case, of course. When you go to subscription, you'll have this type of stuff come up, and one of them is your signature. And you can see my signature there that I have listed, and I've got my equipment that I use in the observatory, and my contact information. Now, to keep from being spammed with my email, I don't spell it out as a direct link because the bots can go out there and scan the page and get my email address and start spamming me. So I don't say JRH at, but you all
Yeah.
know what it means, right? So that's what I do. And then if anybody is worried about being spammed, I would suggest you do that. The other thing, let's see if it's down here. Was the a display name. Let me go back to that. So, oops. On the subscription, I don't guess it. I don't know why it wouldn't show it here. Let me go to this, my account. Okay. So if you click over here, up in the upper right-hand corner, the down arrow, if you go to your account, that's where you can set your display name. I believe, if I'm lying again. So advanced. I know it's in here. It's been a while since I had to do it. That's why I'm fumbling. Admin, subscription, member, email delivery, edit subscription. I could have sworn that the display name is here. I can tell you, I can see it when I call up members information. I can see display name and set it. So for example, if I go to admin members, let me go ahead and see if it comes up on mine. I'm going to search my name, and then I'll click on it. And oh, you see there where it says membership, explore username, and then display name. So that's what I'm talking about. But you shouldn't have to go. I mean, you can't go here to do it. It should be under your subscription somewhere. Membership, group profile, joined, all messages. I don't see it. I don't get that. Maybe that's really weird. Advanced preferences. Let's see what this is. Nope, not it. I don't know. So the easiest way to do it is to go to members. Member directory. I think that's it right there. And then search. So that's this directory. Okay. So search your own name, like I just did, like Hubbell. And then click on it. Oh, that's not it. Go up. I guess you can't really do that. That's really goofy. I know there's a way to do it. I know why people have problems with it. So, I'll have to figure that out and see why I can't get to it. Preferences, security. Oh, maybe it's under identity. No, that's a picture. Oh, here it is. So you have to go. So let me go back to the beginning and point this out. That's right. Go to login or account, and it comes up to login. And you go to identity. It may have changed this since I've been on it before. And then here under identity, then you can put a picture of yourself. You can put your username and the display name, and you can do a bio and other things. So that's how you do it. It's a little confusing. So changes made to this profile will also be made to each group profile, with the exception of those fields that you have previously customized. So that's a good thing. So you can go to main and update your profile here, and it'll update all the subgroups, which before I wouldn't do that. So this might be a newer feature. That's the reason I had a problem finding it. So that's a good thing. So when you join all the subgroups, go to your main, update your identity and the other things, and it'll update all the other subgroups for you, which is kind of cool. So what else? I think so the other thing is setting your signature line is important. Yeah, go back to my account actually. I can go to signature or subscription and go down here and do my signature. And then again, that's where you put all your equipment information. Are there any questions about any of that?
Nope.
I think it's pretty straightforward once you know where to go, and stuff. So those are the main things. The forum is an excellent tool. So that's the next thing I want to show you under messages. So I showed you the hashtag, how you can group messages by the topic or by the hashtag name. You can go and search that. For example, see, I've got an iAccess 100, so I want to go to iAccess 100 related posts. And then from there, you can see it created a search term. All right, that's just basically the hashtag. So then I want to say, okay, I want to look for under iAccess 100. I want to look for auto guiding. Maybe concatenated or may not be. So I'm going to just search that and see what comes up. And you can see there's 25 messages that came up that talks about auto guiding with the iAccess 100. So then you can zoom. You can either refine it a little bit, like type in like ST4. I don't know if this is going to come up with anything or not, but let's see. Oh, it did. So there's two messages that mention ST4 directly. So, and as with any forum, this points out another feature about the forum or the behavior of people that post to forums. Generally, you'll see topics with the name that includes I've had trouble or cannot get something to work, or I have issues or anything. So I think most people understand that that's the nature of the beast in terms of forums, that the system, if you were just to gauge how good the system is based on how many bad messages you got, you'd think it was a piece of crap. Right?
Right.
But people are coming there to get answers to their questions. If they don't understand something or they can't get it to work, it's not that the system won't work, because we know it does. It's the fact that you're missing something or you have a question about something to get it to work correctly. That's really what it is. So I just want to make a mention of that, because some people really have some things to say about the PMC that aren't so flattering. And we try to nip that. So if you look at if you go back to square one and look at our terms of service right here, we do have some things about, how you should conduct yourself on the forum. You shouldn't really bash any companies that you're talking about, even in our company either. You should just explain the issues that you're having and try to provide us all the information that you think is needed for us to help you troubleshoot the problem. Because everybody that buys them out, they have no idea how it really works until they start using it and understanding and troubleshooting problems. So
And the
that's just,
system is so flexible, and there's so many
yeah, that's the thing. It's a flexible
different
system.
kinds of system integrations that you can do, if whether you want to control it with your PC, or you want to control it with a Mac, or you want to control it with a tablet, or, you've got Android, you've got a Windows interface, ASCOM, and your ASCOM setup might be simple, it might be really complex, so
Right.
these are
There's
things to consider.
And there's a lot of settings to configure the system itself. We have a separate program called the UFCT, which is a universal firmware configuration tool that allows you to set these values inside the PM8 itself that control different things. And I've gone over that in past episodes.
Yeah. But as that has evolved, I mean, I will definitely say that a lot of the things that you had to navigate in that firmware update tool, I mean, it is now, a lot of it's done automatically for you. So it's
right.
And that's really nice, so.
There's some automation that we built in over the years. Originally, when we first released the product, it was all manual. You had to get in and configure things manually with a terminal program or some other way. There was none of this automation or user interface. We did have a user interface early on that was developed by the OpenGOTO community. Chris Moses developed this system, which was a godsend for users, and it was actually the first program that got built once the OpenGOTO community forum was opened up back 5 years ago. So that program's actually almost 5 years old. Also, it's probably 4.5 years old. 4 years to 4.5. But so that was very useful for people to do firmware updates. And that's the other thing. When we first started, the only way you could do firmware updates is to follow this application note I wrote and to manually connect it up and to run the programs directly that do the updates, where now the configuration tool and our other tools do it basically automatically. You just select it'll actually download the latest firmware off of our website for you, and you select it, and then you hit a button and it does it, and you don't have to worry about anything. That's how simple it is today to do it compared to what it used to be.
Yeah.
So,
and all of those advances have come about because of our interaction with the OpenGOTO community. So
yes,
we have to thank the entire group for that. So
right,
and this is not just four guys in a room trying to figure out what GOTO technology is supposed to be all about. This is really all about what people in our community think it should be all about. So
right, and that's going to be very evident when we release our next major version of the firmware. There's the reason we have simultaneous communications over Wi-Fi and serial is because of the community. And then we're going to just enhance that. So the advanced communication capabilities in the PMC8 were driven from the OpenGOTO community, and developed by the community also in Wes's case.
That's right.
The work that Wes has done, Wes McDonald.
That's right.
So it's great to have people that want to dig in and understand the system and learn all about it. It helps us to make it better for everybody, and you can feel like you're really a part of a community that's really making a go-to system that belongs to you. This system, like Scott says, it belongs to you. It doesn't belong to us, right?
That's right. That's right. I mean, we're happy to make the player, but I see the firmware and the software as being the music, that can play on that player, right? So. So do you want to listen to the same song all the time, or do you want to make that music? So,
might write your own song and make it sing
right,
to your needs.
that's right. Yeah, but you had mentioned that you kind of alluded to this new firmware that's coming out. What can you tell us about it at this time?
So there's a minor upgrade that I'll be releasing sooner, and then there's a major upgrade where we're waiting on some other things that need to be finished. The minor changes deal with really enhancements in terms of freeing up memory, and this latest beta that we're running right now, that's been running for 3 weeks now, has identified some little bugs in the implementation of the latest changes. This will be the first release since 1.1, which is back in August. So it's been what, 6-7 months since we've had a release that has made some fairly good changes. This is a furtherance of that. The 1.2 version will be coming out probably within the next week or two. I'm kind of debating on how much more beta testing we need. We have identified some issues because we actually moved things around again, configured the architecture of the firmware a little bit more to save some more space. I was telling Scott earlier that we're kind of bumping up against our memory space. So this whole system runs on 32K of memory, 32K bytes. So, and we're not using all that, we're using like, I would say 28 or 29K right now. Think about that, all the features and the real-time operation of the system. It's kind of like back in the day when the plant computer system at the nuclear plant.
Yeah,
Okay, it had similar size. This is a plant computer that monitors a lot of parameters, right? Several hundred parameters in real time. It had a core memory. This is back 60s era computer system. It had a core memory space of it was 32K words, not bytes, but it was still 32K, and it did run a huge number of tasks, relatively speaking, probably 15 to 20 tasks. And I had the opportunity and the luck to be able to work on that system back early in my career.
yeah.
So, but that's an example of what these microcontrollers to do, especially the parallax propeller chip. And maybe I'll go over
Well,
the
one of the things,
propeller
I'll
chip in
make a
detail.
comment. I'm not, of course, I'm not a programmer, but one of the things I did learn in interacting with programmers is that when you have a lot more memory, a lot more core memory, you can write kind of sloppy code.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's room for it. All right.
That's right.
But when you're limited in space, I mean, you got to write that code correctly. It needs to be compact, and it needs every line, every integer, everything needs to be effective,
Right, exactly. And Wes and I were going through the source code, trying to compact it and save space. And we're doing different changes that saves like 10 or 15 bytes. That's the kind of detail we're going into, well, let's do this call this way, or let's do that. So it's a refinement of the source code, basically. We're trying to, the reliability is one thing about the space restriction is that you have to do things as simple as you can get away with. And when you make things as simple as they can be, then that means there's fewer failures. So that's another guiding principle with the firmware, is to do only what you need to do and nothing more, right? Don't get fancy about adding, statements well, we've done this. We've added structure inside to give us debug information. And we have to limit that because, again, the space restrictions, but we take that stuff out on the deliverable firmware. But when we're troubleshooting an issue with the firmware, we have to build in code to troubleshoot to give us information that we take out when we deliver it. So that's an example of minimizing the actual code that actually just does what you want it. That's all it does. And the other thing we've done recently in the last few months is I did a brute force back in the day originally because I had memory. Like, for example, I wrote routines that applied to the RA axis specifically and also the deck axis specifically. we're combining that stuff now, where you just pass it a parameter to tell you which axis you're running on. So we've done that. That minimizes the code. That's what we've done the last few months, is refactor that. So we're able to free up space to do these more other functions, which is great. So the more functionality we can build in. We've also expanded the command language a little bit, but Wes and I were talking about, all right, how can we delete some of the things that we don't need to do now? For example, we have a command that sets system information, which are all the parameters, all the memory values that we want to store for the configuration of the PMC8. We also have individual commands to set each one of those values, which we don't need anymore because we have this one system information command to set the parameters. So now we can get rid of all the individual commands and free up space in the firmware by doing that. And that's one of the things we've been talking about today, actually, to help free up space. So that's the kind of rejiggering of the firmware that we're kind of embarking on.
So there is a question of how many lines of code do you think is in that firmware?
Well, I can tell you, well, we've got four files of source code. All right. The main one has 4,700 lines of code.
147 lines.
4,700.
Okay.
It's not, and each one of them has to be perfect, right?
Right.
So think about that. It's not like writing an article and you get a typo every now and again. It either compiles or it doesn't, and it has to do exactly what you want it to do when it wants to, right? So it's not like programming is kind of like writing a document, but it's a lot more tedious and unforgiving, right? So not only do you have to get all the right lines of code in there, but they have to be in the right place, and they have to be syntactically correct, and the structures have to be correct. There's structure also in the code that you may not have in a document, although you may. So those are the three things that you have to deal with when you're writing code, and it's a lot of work. It really is. But once you get it right, it's great, and you can add on incrementally, and that's what we do.
Great. Well, Jerry, is there? We have a global star party that we're heading up to here in the next. We got an early login coming up in about
45 minutes.
45 minutes. Yeah. Are there other things that you'd like to touch base with, or are there any other questions that the audience has while Jerry's here?
Now's the time.
Now is the time. That's right.
I would like to, maybe the next episode, we can go over more in depth the propeller chip, how the internals of the system actually work, and go over some of that. That would be kind of cool for people to understand, I think.
Sure. Yeah, it really is an amazing system once you kind of dive into it and learn more about what this little machine does. So
yeah, I was impressed when Wes McDonald's got a PhD in electrical engineering. He told me he was impressed with it, so that really made me feel good because it's not that I was winging it or anything, but I just was not
winging it. I mean, well, I have to toot Jerry's horn a little bit. He has to do stuff for nuclear power plants. So, it's got to be right. You really don't get
right. It really has to be right.
Chances out of that. So,
and I really push that when we release anything, that I want it to be right and not cause people trouble.
That's right.
That's the hardest thing to understand, not to understand, but to take, is when people find an issue. Now it's a good thing because they told you about it. That's really the one thing that makes me mad, is if people know about a problem and they don't say anything about it. That's really torques me to no end. Right. Because I want to make it right for them.
Sure.
And I guess people will put up with some problems, and then you'll see this on the forum sometimes also, where people will all of a sudden get to their, they'll get to their level and then they'll blow up and post it on the forum. They've tried to fix it themselves. They can't get where they need to be. And then they're so frustrated, they blow up on their first message to the forum, right? And then we have to calm them down a little bit. Please explain, please tell us all about
Tell
what
us
your
what
issue
it
is.
was.
We'll ask pointed questions, right? We'll ask pointed questions about the details, and then they'll come back finally and say, oh yeah, well,
Yeah,
I've got this.
we've all done that though. I mean, with
Mhm.
various things that we've had or tried to do or whatever. So, but know this, I mean, we're here for you, and we got staff that you can call to here. We've got, you can live chat with us. You can be on our live programs with us. And we will get down to the bottom of any problem that you run into. So.
Yep. That's our guarantee to you.
That's right.
We'll do our best to do that.
Ken Noble says, okay, I have a lot of problems, but I believe they're all mental.
If it's not PMC8 related, then I won't say that.
You don't want to know about it.
Yeah. Although to say that, users do have preconceptions about the way things work, and that's a
Sure.
hurdle. That's a hurdle we have to get over at the beginning.
Yeah.
To help
Yeah,
people understand.
I mean, you're an engineer, Jerry, and you're a programmer as well. I mean, but I often find that engineers and programmers already have an idea of how it's supposed to work.
Oh
right?
yeah, in their
getting
mind
them
they
out
say,
of
okay,
that,
right,
like, oh, well, what do you mean you do this?
right,
So
exactly. And there are a couple things in the PM8 system that are different than the traditional mount control system.
yeah,
And that's
but engineers and
interesting.
software programmers have to have that kind of mindset to do the job they do.
Mhm.
So that's just it. So
Right.
and we love all of them that buy our stuff. It's great, but we would ask that you keep an open mind when it comes to problem solving. So
That's right.
yeah.
And the key to problem solving is always to understand more about how the system actually works.
Right.
Emphasize actually.
You want to underline that?
Yeah, you really, and it's very, that's the main part of effective troubleshooting, is to know what it should be doing and how it works. And then you can say, okay, what is it not doing correctly? And then you can pinpoint exactly where the issue is and solve it,
Right. Tim Lowell, watching on YouTube, says, will there be a video coming out for Exos 2 GT with PMC8 and the ASI Air? Probably not for the ASI Air.
That's something to ask the community, actually.
The ASI Air, and we can't predict when they are going to change anything on that device.
Also, we don't want to talk as a manufacturer about some of those companies' device and get something wrong, and then they come back at us and say, hey, this is not right.
Now, what might be interesting is maybe to have, I don't know if we can get the people on that build the ASI Air, but perhaps we have some sort of show where they're showing the ASI Air and we're there with our product and we're talking about integrations and challenges and these kinds of things. We would welcome something like that.
Right.
So
the other way is to have the community go to the forum and ask somebody to produce a video on their user experience using the system.
Even better, because it's a real guy using that system and whatever version that they might have. Absolutely. So and I'm sure there's some videos out there like that now.
Yeah, you may be able to search for ASI Air and PMC8 and find a video. I don't know. I haven't done that search myself, but that's kind of something to find.
Yeah. I'm going to just search right now. When you're owning the Exos 2 PMC8, go to mount. Now, I don't know if they're using ASI Air or not. But I would watch some of these videos. Here, I'll just give you the search terms that I just typed in chat.
There's a caveat here where some users, I've watched a few videos on the PMC8 review videos and they're great, but it seems like they always get one or two things not quite right. because of their understanding. It's not because
That's why we're
think-
here.
that's why we're here. That's right. So if they're explaining something and it doesn't match your experience, then it's either a problem or they didn't understand it correctly and didn't say the right thing. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. Well, Jerry, thank you very much. Jeff Wise is pointing out that Tyler Bowman here in customer service is very good with the ASI Air. Yes, he does have one. That's true.
Yeah, and we'll help you do the configuration for the PMC8 on that system. But anything more than that, I think, to make it clear that you want to know, okay, my auto guiding doesn't work. How come the ASI Air is not doing this, that, or whatever? You know, Tyler can personally help you with that if he decides to spend his own time doing that, but that's not part of our charter in terms of Explorer Scientific.
Right.
To help people with third-party products. I mean, we bend that rule quite often, in my estimation, to help people get over the computer system problems that they have sometimes. But
right,
there's a few assumptions in our customer base that we make that's not always true. So one of them is that they know how to use their computer.
Right, and customer service is charged with supporting all of our products. So we make everything from action cameras to spotting scopes to binoculars to electronic kits for kids, all kinds of stuff. So I think that if you were an amateur astronomer coming in to work in customer service, you would be like going, okay, well, I'm going to answer questions all day long about telescopes. You're going to answer a lot of them about telescopes, but that is not all you're going to do. So
right,
that's true. Billy's Astro points out, he says, I found it really easy to get the XS2 to connect to my ASI Air Pro. The info is on the group site. So
yes, it is, and there are a couple little tweaks you have to make that is specific to the ASI Air connection because it's a Linux-based system. That's something to read up on. It's on, like you said, it's on the forum.
Yeah. And Fred Nava says, my iXS 100 is working well with my Astroberry so far. So
that's good.
Very cool. Okay, so I'm going to cover a little bit about what we're going to see tonight on the Gold Star Party. We've got David Levy coming on, Chuck Allen, who's been on many times with the Astronomical League. He'll be on next. Dave Eicher returns once again from Astronomy Magazine and his mineral collection, which he never fails to stun us. Kareem Jaffer's daughter, Tara Jaffer, is part of the new young Cosmic Generations group, and they're going to show a little video that has that they set up as a project. Jason Genzel, the Vast Reaches, one of the great astrophotographers out there. He'll be on the show. Alendria Brunges, I think that's how she pronounces her last name. She is the editor-in-chief of Sky News Magazine. That's the major magazine in Canada. Yeah, she's going to be on talking about travel destinations for astronomers in Canada, which is kind of cool.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Paul Owen is from the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada. He's going to be talking about their special programs. He's also a great astrophotographer. Norman Fulham, if you guys remember Norman makes those giant, huge telescopes. Okay.
And he's an awesome guitarist too.
He's an awesome guitarist. So we'll see what
so maybe he'll sing a song. Yeah.
And he's got some special news for us tonight. So that's kind of cool. We'll take a 10-minute break, and then Marcello Souza, he's a cosmologist. He's running astronomy outreach programs down in Brazil, and he is the editor of Skies Up magazine. He'll be on. And then you guys might know Chuck Ayub of Chuck's Astrophotography. He'll be on for a little while. Glenn Roberts will be on. We think that maybe we're cousins from another family or something, Adrian Bradley with his Nightscapes, Cesar Brolo down in Argentina, and then of course Maxi Filares from Argentina as well. So we got a great program on tonight. I hope you watch it. It'll be on at 6 p.m. Central. So
About
anything
an
else
hour,
you'd like to share?
1 hour from now.
1 hour from now. That's right.
No, I think that's it. I think continue to send in messages. If you have any kind of request for anything on the show, if you have an idea for the topic for the show, please don't hesitate to contact me or Scott. My email is jrh@explorescientific.com. And Scott's is real minimalist. His is S, the
Just
letter
ask.
S at explorescientific.com.
That's right.
I should
got that
change
idea
mine
when-
to
You remember when Gmail came out? Okay, well,
Right.
one of the developers of Gmail had this really minimalist email, and it was just like the letter F or something like that at gmail.com. And I
Yeah,
thought,
right.
how cool is that?
That's right. Yeah,
So-
especially on a big platform like that.
Right. So,
Well, the funny thing is the stock market does the same thing, like Dominion, the company that the power company here has their letter is D. That's their stock symbol is D.
that's it? Just D?
That's it, just D,
Oh,
right.
that's
That's
easy to
cool.
remember.
I mean, that was a big
Yeah.
thing to
Sure.
get that. I remember when they got that.
So, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you guys later in about 1 hour from now. Take care.